Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome to a Way Offsides pop-up. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite topic right now today, just for a little bit. Of course, you know I'm talking about five-star wide receiver out of Texas, Kaliq Lockett. What's going on with Kaliq Lockett? His commitment date is coming up very quickly in 2 days. I believe that'll be on Wednesday. It's Monday right now. And the heat around Alabama somehow at the last minute, as it seems to always do, is picking up. So let's talk about it. What's happening? Lockett is part of a very good wide receiving class in the 2025 class. Had an official visit to Alabama back in mid-June. And coming off of that visit, everybody felt like Bama was a heavy player for Lockett for the five-star out of Texas. Now, the very next weekend, I believe it was, and maybe 2 weekends after, he did an official visit in Austin, homeschool kind of deal at Texas. And it seemed like that momentum kind of swayed to Texas a little bit. There were some crystal ball predictions placed for Lockett to Texas, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. Now, LSU has come in as a player in his recruitment as well. But the momentum, at least in terms of social media, is picking up around Lockett to Alabama. Where's that coming from? Well, it's coming from a couple of places. And I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you the information. You can make the decision for yourself, and I'll tell you what I think. First of all, some of it has come from the tweet by, Steve Wiltfong from On3, where they communicated with Lockett. He was talking about his commitment date coming up, and he said he's going to go to the school that produces the most talent in terms of wide receivers in the NFL. When you look at who he is considering, Alabama, LSU, Texas, two schools stick out immediately. That's Alabama and LSU. Both of those schools, despite the rivalry between them, both of those schools typically produce pretty decent wide receiving talent at the next level. Texas doesn't have that same track record. So does that mean that Texas is out of the mix? No, it doesn't. But then on top of that, with that tweet, a lot of people, a lot of accounts with large followings started posting cryptic messages about, oh, there's a five-star going to commit this week. Or, they'll put the little lock emoji with it and question mark. And that's got a lot of people believing that Kaliq Lockett is going to make that commitment to Alabama on August 7th when he commits. I don't know that he will. Lockett is a Texas guy. I think that there is some serious consideration in Alabama. He may even want to go to Alabama, but I think there's a lot of internal pressure for him to stay in Texas. That could be coming from family, could be coming from coaches. But you can't deny, just like Lockett can't deny, that the track record of Alabama putting wide receivers in the draft is clear evidence that would be a great place for his development. The same thing applies when you consider the new coaching staff. They put 3 guys in the draft last year at Washington. With Alabama's track record at wide receiver and that, you can't expect them to do anything different. But here's the thing about Alabama's recruiting class. They wanted 2 wide receivers. They wanted 2 short-handed, good wide receivers, and they've got them right now. They've got Latsier Brooks, Caleb Cunningham. So they've checked that box. So Lockett, in terms of what Kalen DeBoer is trying to recruit to Alabama, isn't a must right now. It'd be a cherry on top. It'd be a great thing to have. I'm not saying, if Lockett commits, they're going to give him a scholarship. But it's not the end of the world if he doesn't commit. And so we'll kind of see. I say this all the time. You guys can quote me on it or, do the whole hashtag thing. But we'll see what happens with Kaliq Lockett. Now, another factor that plays into this is Keelan Russell. Since Keelan Russell committed to Alabama and won the Elite 11, he's been recruiting his tail off for Alabama, and it's kind of raised the bar where Alabama stands nationally with this new staff in recruiting, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because people recognize that name and they want to come play with him. He was tearing it up at camps all spring and summer. And guys like Kaliq Lockett want to play with a quarterback who can distribute the ball, get it to them, pad their stat line so that they can get that look at the next level. Keelan Russell's a guy that can definitely do that. Not to mention that Keelan Russell lives like 45 minutes from Kaliq Lockett. Like they live right down the road from each other. So in Texas. So that's currently where we stand on Kaliq Lockett. I think maybe there was some misinterpretation of social media posts and people getting excited and questioning whether Alabama was still potential for Lockett or more of a potential than we thought. And I think that overzealous fans kind of jumped on top of that, which I can't blame them. Everybody's excited. Everybody loves recruiting. You know, it seems like all the recruiting news the past week and a half has been Auburn, and they're probably going to get some more soon. And so you're kind of just waiting on, okay, well, you know, ours seems to have stalled out. Everybody's waiting on AK Deer. Now Kaliq Lockett, what are we doing? Like, we need some guys. They're coming. Like we say this every show, I feel like, but it's important to know, you know, signing day, early signing period isn't until December. All right. And so what you see right now across the board with these verbal commitments isn't how it's going to end in December. It's the long game here. All right. There's guys that Alabama wants that are committed to other schools that will commit to Alabama. There's probably potentially still one or two, maybe even three flips from Alabama. And that's just the nature of recruiting right now. There's a lot of promises being made. People are paying recruits to come visit. People are paying recruits to make a commitment and not uphold that commitment. Because if so-and-so commits to our school, this person will commit, or that person will commit, or that person will commit. That's the nature of NIL right now. This is what Nick Saban was warning us about for a long time. It's not about building value for yourself. It's about buying players. That's a whole nother video. But when it comes to Kaliq Lockett, you know, we did after his official visit in June, just like everybody else, on 3247, put in an official prediction for Alabama to land him. It was at one point with like a 70% confidence interval. Right now, I would say we're sitting at like 35-40%, but it is trending up a little bit because the comment on that he made with Steve Wiltfong is very interesting. It is interesting because if you take him at his word, which in the world of recruiting talk doesn't mean much, but if you take him at his word, and he's considering Texas, Alabama, LSU, and he wants to go somewhere. He says he's going to go somewhere where they've produced NFL talent at the wide receiving position. Those two schools out of those three are Alabama and LSU, with recently, Alabama having the better track record. So we'll see what happens. Hashtag we'll see what happens. But even if Bama doesn't land Kaliq Lockett, their receiving class is fine. This year, it's exactly what Kalen DeBoer needed. Again, if you go back and look, it's very similar and structured very similar to Nick Saban's 2017 class. That was done for a reason. And there's other positions of need right now that Alabama needs to be focusing on, such as beefing up the safety position, you know, adding some depth there. Losing Derek Smith kind of hurt there. So now they're focusing their attention at Jordan Young. So that's where we are. And we'll find out in 2 days. We'll all be watching. And I'll have the tweet drafted up just in case. But I don't expect Kaliq Lockett to end up at Alabama. I believe that he will end up at LSU or Texas. I do think Alabama is trending. That could easily change in the next 48 hours. That's the nature of recruiting now. Who knows? Maybe Oregon sweeps in at the last second and drops a bag. We'll see. They've been doing it all offseason. But either way, we're getting really close to football season, guys. So we'll start shifting our focus a little away from recruiting and more towards what's going on with the current team that we have. I know Jeff will be happy about that, but we're getting close. So stay tuned. We've got After Dark this week on Wednesday night. And then Thursday will be our normal show. We'll have Nick Kelly on as well. We're going to be talking a ton of stuff. We're going to be going over some more SEC schedules, opponent schedules. We're going to be doing positional breakdowns for Alabama's defense this year. A lot of things that you're not going to want to miss. Also, we've got some special news on Thursday that we're going to share in a live chat with only our members. So if you're not a member, definitely sign up today. You can do it underclassmen or upperclassmen membership. They're pretty cheap, $4.99 or $6.99 a month. As much as a cup of coffee a day. I'm just kidding. Coffee's like, if you buy coffee every day, it's like $100 a month. But that's all I've got for today. Stay tuned. If anything breaks today, we'll be with you live. Look for a potential pop-up live later in the night. Maybe. We'll see what happens. But as always, say your prayers, wash your hands, read your Bibles, horns down. beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.